Thank you very much, guys. And D-Man, sorry for failing the math and leading you to believe something wrong. So anyways, the match did go as expected. Edward Gaming came out, took control fairly early on, but I do think some credit needs to be given to Dark Passage. They have gotten better as the games have gone on, and they made some more aggressive plays, not necessarily the all-ins we were looking for, but they did go for some of those early dives and early chases and punished EDG when they made mistakes.
Yeah, EDG wasn't playing flawless early at all, and Dark Passage did a good job trying to keep up, and that actually makes the battle for first place in in Group B even more important. Like, if you can choose White or EDG at the start of the predictions, maybe we're like, yeah, maybe they're similar, maybe White's a level better, but how much? But looking at EDG now, like, the discrepancy is very, very big.
Yeah, and Jat was talking about how EDG is known for stepping up and being very consistent, but this is the World Championships. It's so hard to just say, yeah, they're going to step up when it actually matters. If they play, for example, Samsung White or Samsung Blue, it's just going to be ridiculous to say that their early game would shape up so quickly. I mean, they're making so many mistakes, especially against a weaker team. I just didn't expect that from China's best.
I agree completely. On one hand, you can say, well, they were playing a big underdog. They played a little bit recklessly, like Samsung White kind of was in their games, but of course, those guys made it look really clean. On the other hand, I, again, completely agree with you, because even in the Chinese regional final, you had Starhorn Royal Club take them to 3 games. In fact, they were leading early game most of those battles. So if Starhorn does take #1 in Group B and Edward Gaming does fall to #2, you could easily have that, that inter-country kill and Starhorn suddenly is top 4 in a very believable fashion. And so I agree. These guys need to shape up that early game and temper that aggression somewhat.
I mean, this is still a team that is based around that late game and the team fighting. And if you draw that comparison to Samsung Blue or something like that, well, you could say, oh, well, Samsung Blue often falls behind in the early game as well. They've done it to many teams, and yet they've only lost 1 best-of-5 in like 9 months. So I'm not as convinced that EDG's early game is as big of a problem as people seem to think it is. Obviously, against Dark Passage, more questions arise, but I think they're going to get it together and do just fine.
2 things, I'm going to quote you on that at a later date. And number 2, I think it's time to slide this one along. Earlier today, we asked you guys to get onto Twitter and tell us who has been the most outstanding player in the Taipei group stage and why. And we're going to talk about some of your selections. From SJ Danois, supports rarely get the playmaking credit they deserve. Not on this desk. Mata is changing that and has come out huge during the group stage. Crepo, as a fellow support player, I think you're going to agree.
I just think the way the support metagame has changed just over the course of like the entire season. I do think playmaking supports have a better place in the metagame, and they do actually get a lot of credit. But then Mata takes it up to another step. He's just flawless in almost every aspect of his play. And yeah, if we ever mention supports, he's the one we're going to be mentioning first.
He's the faker of supports. All right, next one. At Demon Zyod, BB really impressed me with his mechanics in their game against Starhorn Royal Club. He was basically 1v5ing faker style. BB definitely has looked good.
Yeah.
Not great.
I do have a lot of respect for BB still as an individual player. Also, he's taken the shot calling role for Taipei Assassins. That can be a lot to focus on. Ultimately, though, his bot lane synergy with Jay I found to be a bit weak, and so he's looking, I would say, worse than he probably should, because a player of his skill actually should be putting up a little bit better numbers with that.
Yeah, to me, BB will always be a legend because he won the Season 2 World Championships in a spectacular fashion, but you can't really see him shine so much because the game now is so dictated by laning phase, and he doesn't have great synergy with Jay, so he doesn't get to shine as much, and then when he does get to that mid-late game, when he's actually even and he's not, super far behind, he does get to play very well.
All right, and the next one comes to us from @JoshLol1 or Lolly. Definitely Uzi. His tryst was incredible versus TSM. It seemed like getting caught was part of his plan. I'm not sure I agree with that so much, but hey, if it works out, it works out. Don't you think, Monte Cristo?
I guess.
Guys, thank you.
Learn support Kale.
Well, thank you for sending those in, and of course, we'd love to hear more. Join the conversation throughout all of Worlds by tweeting to us at LOL eSports. Make sure you use that hashtag Worlds. Guys, we'll need to take one final break, and then we'll be back with the last match of the day, featuring SK Gaming versus the Taipei Assassins. Don't miss it.
and it looks like he will be going down in this one. It's just a matter of time. Naru gets it up. Wait! The rest of the team, the bomb! Oh, it does take him down in the end. But Dark Passage is not getting anybody. Fat Atlas comes in on this one, and they're going to be able to lock down FCZF.
It is going to be Edward Gaming moving in. Koro going big on this one. He's happy. He's got the Zillion support, of course. He will just get revived back in there.
Koro, again, going into a 3v1 situation. The spikes are going to go right through and take down Touch, and they're in the base for the win.